Oh, yeah, we are back and we are live. You get all the pew pews. Let's go. I'm so freaking excited. I don't deserve these people, but they're here, guys. This is what hard work and being real gets you. It pays off with amazing people coming to be on your show, and you guys are in for a treat. I should be charging you, but I love you too much. So we're just going to go ahead and do this pro bono because the information we're about to drop is going to be amazing. For those of you that may not know, I do suffer from epilepsy. I have seizures. It's been a big life-changing thing. I've been experiencing it for about 6 years of my life. And there's a point where you have to be honest about conditions in your life, and you have to realize that maybe you need some help. Maybe you need some people who have been down roads you haven't been down or know a little bit more than you. And you learn to lean on good folks. And the cool thing about that is that God brings you the most amazing people to help you and to help you grow on your journey. And with that being said, let's bring them in, y'all. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I'm not going to do the whole intro things with them because that would be the whole show because they have such a list of credits. So I'm going to hit you with the right nows and then we'll let them tell you a little bit more about it. But ladies and gentlemen, coming to the stage right now, we have the amazing woman. She is the founder of Faces of Epilepsy. She is also the let's see here. Let's pull it up right here. Judah Story. And she does so much work all across the country. Give it up for your friend, my friend, Mrs. Lisa Lopez Griggs. Woo! How you doing, young lady? Are you good?
Amazing. I love being called young.
Oh, you're young and great. And your friend with you, did you want to introduce her? Who's that?
Yes, definitely. This is Alyssa Servito.
Hi, everyone.
And she is our Faces media director. She's our ambassador of Faces of Epilepsy. And we actually connected through epilepsy, the same way that you and I connected, Mike. And just so excited to have her here with us this evening.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming to hang out. And then without any further ado, the man, the myth, the legend, pulls no punches. He brings it, and he is here with you tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Mr. Robert Ferguson. Let's go. Yeah. How are you doing, sir?
We are good, man. Happy to be here, and congrats for the success of your show, and good to be here with Lisa and Alyssa.
Awesome. Woo! Shout out to everybody in the chat. We're going to get with you guys later. Just want to kind of get this rolling. Thank you guys for being here and being in the mix. Okay, so let's start out. If it's okay, we'll start out with Lisa. For those that don't know, tell us a little bit about your background, how you got involved in helping folks with epilepsy. Tell us a little bit, if you would, about Judah and your experience and how you came to be with us tonight.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mike. So I'm Lisa Lopez Griggs, and I'm the founder of Faces of Epilepsy. And last year, our family lost my son, Judah, to SUD-EP, which I knew nothing about. My son had epilepsy, just like you, Mike, just like Alyssa. But it wasn't something that we really talked about. As a family, we just accepted that he had epilepsy, and his epilepsy, it wasn't something that dictated his deliciousness out of life. It's like he still experienced everything that he wanted to, which it sounds like you're doing the same, which I commend you for. I think that's very admirable that you're still living your dream and living your best life and trying to get the word out, especially this is Epilepsy Awareness Month, as Alyssa, had mentioned. And I think that, there needs to be more advocacy. I never thought that I would choose to do humanitarian work around epilepsy. Robert knows, I've been to Africa twice this year, Tanzania. There's over 2 million orphans there. Many of their parents died of AIDS and malaria and accidents and different things. And so I went there, and I've loved working with the children there. But when I came back on this last trip, I had realized that there was a real need in the community of epilepsy. And with Robert's knowledge, I knew that I could put them in front of Robert and they could get a lot more help that they're not helping and, that they're not receiving. And so that's how Faces of Epilepsy got started.
That's awesome. And thank you for that, by the way. Clearly you're doing amazing work. And what are you guys up to right now that we should know about? What are you working on? And how can we help?
Well, I think the biggest thing is just awareness and advocacy around this fatty acid profile test that maybe Robert could speak into when we get to him. I think that that's the biggest piece right now, because the statistics show that when an epileptic has 3 seizures a year, which is quite common, that's not outlandish to believe that an epileptic is having 3 seizures a year when they're still on medication, meaning that they're having breakthrough seizures, which was my son. My son Judah was on 3,000 milligrams of Depakote a day. And I believe you had mentioned that you were, on Keppra, and my son was on Keppra too. And for him, it was not a good medication. It made him homicidal and made him suicidal. He was not the same child on it. He was diagnosed very young. He was diagnosed with juvenile epilepsy at 14 and on very heavy medication. And so I think that knowing that, we need to bring more awareness, conversation, safe space for the stigma around epilepsy to be silenced. And Robert and I've had a lot of conversation around that, because I do have a background as a minister. And, a lot of times people think that epilepsy is demons. They think it's demonic. And so they don't want to have they don't want to associate themselves, with people that have epilepsy because of that, which is quite interesting to me.
Well, yeah. And a lot of times we, can fear what we don't know, and there's a lot of times we just fear, what we don't know. And so we just kind of avoid it, or, it's easier to pretend like it doesn't exist. And thank you so much for sharing. And man, that's so important. There's about 1 million questions we can follow up with, and we will. Dr. Ferguson, General Ferguson, you know what I mean? Minister Ferguson, Lord Ferguson, let's go. Sir, it is an honor to have you on the show. If you guys don't know, educate yourself, make yourself aware. Follow Robert Ferguson on your Facebooks, your Instagrams, wherever you prefer to follow, folks, because it will be rewarding for you. Absolutely. Wow, I don't even know where to start. So good.
A lot of comments.
I love it.
Yeah, a lot of comments there.
How about I'm gonna start in a weird place, right? Because that's what I do. But the thing that really excited Lisa when we were talking, that brought you into our conversation, she was asking, what are some of your seizure triggers? And I told her dehydration is way up there. Lack of sleep is way up there. And I even told her, I said, this may sound kind of weird, but seed oils, when I have, excess seed oils, or the less seed oils I have, the better I am. But too many seed oils absolutely have caused seizures in my life before. She was like, oh my gosh, you have to look into Dr. Robert Ferguson. And she was like, he understands these things. And, I was able to sit in on a call you had and look more into your website and what you have. Let me pull that up real fast. And it was just amazing. And inflammation is so important to understand and talk about, and something we really don't. And I know I am like sounding like a kindergartner to somebody with a PhD in this. So if you just want to take what I threw out there and go from there, maybe, unless you need more from me. Yeah. And before we get into it, please tell us a little bit about your background and what you're doing now, and how you've come to kind of learn these things and become aware and do what you do.
Well, thank you. And thank you for being a voice of helping to get the word out. I'm a clinical nutritionist. I've been doing this for about 30 years. And the work that I do is helping everyone from a Tony Braxton to a Ricky Lake to a Shaka Khan to my mom and everyday people, to big companies. And I'm in the business of helping people optimize health. And so what connected me with Lisa was multiple things, but I quickly learned that she had lost her son to seizure or to the whole components of epilepsy. And at one point, she had heard me sharing information about inflammation. And as a result, she says, have you done anything with epilepsy? And I quickly said that I started working on an article I was writing about 8 months ago about epilepsy. And so she motivated me to complete the article. When I shared it with her, I believe it opened her eyes. And as you have experienced, at the end of the day, if you want to reduce the intensity of, let's say, a seizure, if you want to reduce frequency of having seizures, then you want to lower the inflammation. And oftentimes, I'm sure you've been to doctors, you'll hear people mention inflammation, but no one really explains what that means and what you can do. What power do you have in bringing that down? And this is not new. I mean, Hippocrates, the father of modern day medicine over 2,000 years, knew this. And he's the guy who's quoted for saying, let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food. So there is a way to calm the inflammation. And what saddens me, even though I haven't lost a family member, I am familiar and have had family members who have had epilepsy and have been challenged with seizures. So my heart and my empathy and my compassion is there for it. But what really frustrates me, and as you saw on my Facebook, I mean, I just call it the way it is we got to get the word out. And we have a solution that's part of nutrition education. And at the same time, there's a protocol that can help everybody reduce inflammation. So to add on to what you said, and I'll pause, omega-6 fatty acids, which are called linoleic acid, which is also called seed oils, is in a lot of our food. The most consumed edible oil in America is soybean oil. And most people say, well, what do you mean soybean oil? I never buy soybean oil. Well, it's in everything. If you have mayonnaise in the refrigerator, the first ingredient is probably soybean oil. If you're cooking with grapeseed oil, guess what? It's very high in this inflammatory oil. That's a seed oil. If you buy Sun Chips or you go to Whole Foods and you feel like you're going the extra mile to be healthy, look at the ingredients and you will see sunflower oil, safflower oil. All of these oils are high in that inflammatory oil, which then raises the inflammation, which then plays a huge role in triggering a seizure, as well as adding to the intensity of a seizure. So the first goal is, if you have it, like someone like Lil Wayne, Elton John, and the list goes on and on. Even Prince lived a whole life with seizures, with epilepsy. The goal is, let's calm what we can calm. So be in control of what we can be in control of. And that begins with nutrition.
Absolutely. Wow. You're here on my show, man. Okay, I'm just taking a second. You know what I'm saying? It's so cool. Yeah, no, I love Prince. I love Lil Wayne, of course. Elton John. It's us really special people with extra good brains. I can't explain it. Alyssa knows what I'm talking about. Alyssa, can we take a second and ask you a couple questions about your experience? If that's
absolutely.
Okay. So first of all, you seem a little younger than us old folks. Do you mind if we ask kind of your age range there?
I look very young, but I'm actually 25.
That is still very young.
How old are you?
You're going to watch this in 40 and laugh and laugh. You know what I mean? But, no, and that's important because, this stuff affects folks of all ages and all walks of life. It's something that is a great unifier in a way, in an odd way. But I wanted to ask, can you tell us, clearly you're active. Clearly you understand. You've got, what I like is that you've got a real strong acceptance and kind of understanding of what you're going through. And can you tell us a little bit about what that takes as someone with seizures, and maybe any advice, inspiration that you'd have for them and your experience with it, of course.
So I was diagnosed when I was 21, and I have a rare form of epilepsy called PVNH. It's a really long word. But so my biggest thing was, I felt like I had lost my ability to do things by myself. And it's that loss of independence that I really had to kind of grasp and go through. And once I finally recognized and realized that I am still such a beautiful soul and I'm capable of going through this, and I don't have to be like, I don't have to have this negative look upon my life just because I can't drive, you know, because from being able to drive to not being able to drive, it's a very heartbreaking experience, because that loss of independence is something huge. Yeah, freedom. So I guess my advice to those out there who are struggling with this, positivity is the biggest thing that you need. It is the biggest thing that will keep you going. Just because you have a seizure, just because you have a bad day, it doesn't need to, I guess, circle into something very, I get negative, you
Negative,
know?
yeah. Well, and that's kind of tricky, as you understand, because a lot of the medicines they give us make us feel even worse, right?
Yes.
On top of dealing with the mental and emotional kind of and physical stress of being epileptic or having seizures. So yeah, not being negative is huge. Maintaining that. Honestly, I am a proud Christian, but absolutely. But also some of the teachings of Buddhism, and of course, I've got a great church, great team behind me. But you know, just the idea of acceptance, you know, and the idea that you need to accept certain things, and
Acceptance is big.
And in the same way Paul said, and I'm not trying to preach here, but in the same way Paul said, I've asked for the thorn to be removed 3 times, and the Lord said, no, my grace is sufficient for thee. And it allows us to be an even greater testimony than others, because we're awesome, right? We have special powers, right? We're superheroes, you know what I mean? So absolutely, you know? Yeah. So and in speaking to that, I'd like to, you know, bring it to Lisa and bring it to I feel odd calling you Robert. I'm sorry. I apologize. No disrespect, man. But I would not want to bring it back to them, because, and this is what I've found has helped me, is that positive mind state leads you to take action, because you can't just sit in that chair and feel bad and let those drugs pump through you in your house all day, watching whatever TV, because all TV is negative. You know what I mean? Like, that's why I kind of watch sports and game shows. So that's like, I love, me and my wife are always trying to beat each other on the game shows, because we know at least that's not like weird stuff, right? It's just fun. But you know, you got to get up and get out. You've got to take accountability and responsibility for your health. This is why I love what, you know, Robert is talking about here and what he's dedicated his life to. Now, you got into this and you're helping people and you've learned all this. Tell us, Robert, a little bit about your background and the history that brought you to this a little bit more, if you would.
Well, the short of it is I got into what I do now primarily for weight loss, because I grew up as a mama's boy. And as a mama's boy, very proud of it.
Yeah,
I watched my mom battle with weight, gaining 100 pounds, losing 100 pounds. When you watch the joy of losing it and then you see the pain of gaining it back, that was instilled in me. And when the opportunity came, I dived in, and then I made it where I would be in a position where I could provide information and help people. And you fast forward, you start seeing diabetes, you start seeing Graves' disease, Hashimoto's, high blood pressure. And then there's this common thread between all of them called low-grade chronic inflammation. And then you start meeting people at the right time in your life to play the role that you need to play for the bigger picture, which all of us are in full agreement with. And so when I met Lisa, and knowing that she had gone through what she gone through with losing her son, and then seeing some other talents in her, but at the same time being patient and watching her come to a place where she saw the connection, I believe we are now in a position, as she connected with Alyssa and Enrique and all these amazing people that we have gotten to know in a very short period of time. I believe, Mike, that we're in a position where we can bring something that can help people who are living with epilepsy that was never made available. And the test that we have is something that people can do in the privacy of their home. And in that test, what we can look at is where the inflammation levels are, and then give you like a real plan on how to reduce inflammation, as you've been doing on your own. Like every time I eat more seed oils, I have more problems. But give someone clear, scientific, validated, verified proof on what you can do, because doctors are not at a place at this moment in time where they're able to provide this test that we have available to put a person in a position where you can now monitor your inflammation, right? Because people talk about it, but they don't tell you how to monitor it. They don't even tell you how to measure it. So now we can measure it, monitor it. And if you can monitor it, you can do something about it. And what I believe is going to happen in the next year, maybe 2 years, is that we're going to end up doing a clinical trial. And we're going to demonstrate that when you actually look at the inflammation, you monitor the inflammation, we reduce the inflammation, people who do experience seizures are going to experience less often, and the intensity of the seizures are going to be reduced, because we're going to give them a plan to lower the inflammation. So inflammation, Mike, ties into everything. If someone was watching us and they have MS, they get cancer, they have high blood pressure, they got type 2 diabetes. Trust me, every major chronic illness that people are experiencing today, the common denominator is the level of inflammation in their body.
Yeah, I 2 questions on that. One, I know folks that struggle with arthritis, on that next level. And, I had no idea arthritis could be so debilitating for folks, but it legitimately can be. It breaks my heart. And it's one of those, it's literally a swelling, and because it'll go away, you know what I mean? And then it comes back, and it's, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's inflammation, right? Like that specifically, that's what you call it, right? Like
100%. Yep.
Yeah.
So if you live life, right, and we know that 50% of people who have epilepsy will never know what was the cause, right? So you have everything from seizures, or not seizures, but you have genetics to a brain injury. I mean, the list goes on of the other 50%. But in reality, we know that if you have low-grade chronic inflammation and you live long enough, that inflammation will be expressed in something. It could be Hashimoto's, it could be gout, it could be lupus, it could be type 2 diabetes. And the sad part, Mike, is that someone at the top knows this, and because it's not being dealt with early, it drives the financial benefits of the healthcare system, which is almost $5 trillion a year. And a third of that is going to pharma, which you guys talked about meds. And when you look at meds, for instance, with Alyssa, she shared with me some of the meds that she's on, and I got some of the meds that Judah was on. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put together a presentation and show people what the meds actually do in what we call pathways from a biological standpoint. And when you see that, because I've already started on it, it's going to blow everybody's mind. And so when we do this, Mike, you got to see it, because once you see it, you're going to see how you can replace the med with food and get a better outcome.
Yeah, no, and I absolutely agree. That's time to be real for a quick second. Y'all got me being real. Now I'm supposed to be, but time to be real,
Mike. Keep it real, Mike.
Yeah. Because, man, there are people listening that are going through the same thing, and are caretakers or family members. So just to keep it real, they put you on the Keppra, right? And it messes with your moods really hard.
Really
Then
hard.
you get on the Vimpat, right? And that eases your moods a little bit. But that itself, if you look at Vimpat, is not great. And then you get into this kind of prison where, for lack of a better term, where you got to take this meds, because basically if you stop taking them, it's going to give you seizures. But you're taking the meds to not have seizures. But now I'm kind of stuck, because I sure don't want to not take these meds, and the byproduct of that, or is more seizures, because that doesn't work. And then so
It's hard.
we need what you're doing, man. And I'm so down to figure that out. And yeah, man, whatever information you need, please, I'm around and available. And then past that, I wanted to ask you guys about something, you two, Lisa and Alyssa as well. Do you guys know something I haven't heard that much about? Not seizure clusters, right? And I'll explain it from, I know this from a couple of other folks, and it happens to me, and that I'll go 4 or 5, sometimes 6, 7 months without a seizure. And then I'll get a bunch, or I'll get like 3 or 4, you know, in a day or two. And I was wondering if you guys had heard of that before. And it's both. It'll be a grand mal that's shaking, and then it'll be a tonic clonic, and then maybe another, but I'm just in, I'm in Seizureville, right? I'm, population me, and I'm in Seizureville for a while. And, do you guys know about that? Have you heard about that? And whatever you guys know about that, that might help the folks listening.
So, sorry, I have actually, a week ago had a seizure cluster. And for me, like I said, I woke up on the bathroom floor very confused, and then I was sitting at the kitchen table with my mom, and then randomly had another one, not knowing what was going on. I notice that when I don't have seizures for a really long time, and then all of a sudden one comes on, it could trigger more of them, which is the clusters, because your brain is so, I guess, triggered by that one seizure. It's not used to having as many seizures, you know what I mean? Because you haven't had one in such a long time. Then all of a sudden, boom, you're already I guess more prone to them.
Yeah, propensity
Yeah.
towards them. Yeah,
Yeah.
Judah used to get that a lot
Exactly.
too, because he would have even when he was in the hospital, Mike, during that lung abscess. Because what happens a lot too is when you have grand mals, you're the like in Judah's case, he would foam at the mouth a lot, and he couldn't breathe. So as he's exasperating his own phlegm back down into his lungs, that's how he got the lung abscess. And then, which could have been very fatal for him. But when he was in the hospital, he had 2 back-to-back seizures, even though he was still on his medication. So it's all the stress and the different triggers, that you talked about. And then, obviously he'd have these grand mals, he'd lose his bladder, his tongue would be all bit up. And then of course it's like running a marathon, then you're out for the rest of the day. I mean, the whole day is shot after you have a seizure. For anybody that's listening, that's not really familiar with how epilepsy works, I mean, if you see someone have a seizure, put them on their side, make sure their head is protected, try to stay calm. Most oftentimes we pray that, they'll go through the process and then they'll come back online again. And then, just keep an eye on them after that. But pretty much the day's shot after that. It really is.
Sometimes the week after a cluster.
Yeah.
I couldn't. I do this now. People don't know, but there's a lot of little back end things where you've got to click this, and you've got to take this little RMTP code and put it into this server and make sure your download speeds are right, and upload speeds, and all of these little things that I'm doing as we speak, right? And you take for granted that, RAM, that random access memory, my brain knows. It just knows right now. I'm not worried about it, right? There's 14 things I could tell you I'm doing right now, literally, from watching 4 different chats to checking the likes to making sure our time is right. Right now we're at 30:01 to making sure my feed is going right. You know what I mean? Making sure Robert is still engaged and you're still engaged and the lighting is still. I'm doing all of this in my brain as we speak. I would have, without seizures, I would have had no idea. I would just take advantage. That's just how your brain works, and never had known that, like the last time I had a seizure cluster, literally my wife had to tell me, no, baby, you're a podcaster and you're doing good now. And you're making money and you do 5 shows a week. I mean, what do you do? Like, I wish people understood, like it's hard sometimes. And thank God for caretakers. And Lisa, for a second, I wanted to get into you because I've had more than one person, not understand how you've come out so strong. What you've been through could and has broken a lot of people.
Yeah.
Literally broken them. And not only did you not break, but you took that and you turned it into this and brought us Robert and brought us Alyssa and created this thing. Like, can you tell us about what that took? Because I know you had to go into a dark place to be able to come out with the power and the light you're bringing. So, could you, you're making me be real. So your turn.
I'm getting emotional.
Yeah. Like when you understand how energy works through the body, and I know Robert speaks on this, and I hear Veronica talking about it all the time, that the body is made of trillions of cells and that we are energy. We're conduits or we're catalysts, but at the end of the day, we're energy. And when you lose a child, it's like the chi, in your body. It's the energy force, your life force that literally leaves you. And I couldn't stand up. I couldn't stand up when I got the news from the fire captain. I just, the chi just left my body. It's the only way I could try to articulate it. I fell to my knees and I couldn't get off the floor. My father was so concerned. He called the paramedics because he wanted to make sure I was okay. My blood pressure was okay. He had also lost a child. He'd lost his daughter, my sister, when she was 21. So he was a big source of comfort for me at that moment. Because he said, God doesn't give this test to everybody. And I think it was what I needed to hear from my father, at that moment, because I knew that he had also lost a child, from a young age. He's also a man of faith. I'm a woman of faith, and God got me through. He really carried me through. I look back at even pictures of me, and it almost seems like, how did I make it through, an event? We had a big event coming up, and we got through that event, which was World Menopause Day. It was our first inaugural event in Las Vegas, Nevada. Kind of got through that, but I look back at like that whole experience and just feel like God kind of carried me through all of it. And then when I met Robert, because I was doing humanitarian work, it was really the only way to kind of heal my heart was to get my own pain out of the way and look at other people that were still alive and still in great pain. What I mean by that is my parents had ministry. They're in full-time ministry. And I said, why don't you let me start a prayer ministry within your ministry? And I started praying for people, their donors, over the phone. And I would call them up, and a lot of their donors lived in Maui. And a lot of them had just lost their homes, and they'd lost their families and their friends. And so just listening to their stories kind of moved me out of the grief. It was like I was listening to other people that were living and still kind of going through it, and realizing that my son was more alive in Christ Jesus. You mentioned that you were a believer.
Oh, absolutely.
Was more alive in Christ Jesus than him being physically here on this earth. And I never knew that how God would use all that with epilepsy. And had I not met Robert, I don't think that we would be on the mission that we're on with regard to what we're doing with Faces of Epilepsy. I wouldn't have been able to do this without him, that's for sure, because I wouldn't have his knowledge to be able to bring to the people. And I believe that Robert has a real call on his life. I believe that he has knowledge and insight that God has given him. He's a very brilliant man. He has a genius mind. And he really has a heart to help people. So I knew that it was just a matter of how can I get his information in front of people to help them. And then understanding that, there's just a big need in this community. And we need to silence, like I said, that stigma and be able to bring real advocacy and real change to epilepsy. We really need to do this. We really, really need to do this. And so I think that's what it was. It's just kind of like advocate for the living, because the ones that have already passed, they're gone, and they're still here with us, but they're just in a different dimension, if that makes sense
Sure,
to me.
absolutely.
Yeah.
To be remembered
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. And thank you so much. And as you were speaking, I was just thinking, God needed you. You know what I mean? Like God needed you, needed your energy, your passion, your fire, your ability to clearly, do what you do with you get very little in return working in nonprofit. That's just the deal. And that's fair and that's okay. We help others, but it takes somebody with extra strength. You know what I mean? A little extra fire, and clearly you have that. So thank you, Lisa. Thank you so much.
Mike, you know what? I want to get up on that for a second. I don't believe that God needs us to accomplish his will.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't mean that. I didn't mean it like that. I mean, God chose you.
I want to clarify that with you. I don't believe that he needs us to accomplish his will, but I believe that when we're fully surrendered to him, that he can use us as vessels. And I think for the audience and everyone that's listening in today, you choose, right? You get to choose if you want to be used as a vessel of God or not, right? And we have to surrender to that. We have to surrender our lives to that and what that purpose or that call looks like. And I think you're doing that today, by hosting your podcast and getting the word out there. You're making a choice to say, hey, you know what? I'm a Christian man and I'm an epileptic. And, I'm still doing great things for God. And I think that takes real courage. So thank you. And that's
I don't know about great things, but stuff. We're doing stuff.
Yeah.
This is absolutely stuff.
Good stuff.
We're doing
Robert's
stuff.
doing a lot of good stuff.
Absolutely. And to lead back to that and what you were saying, Robert, why do you think, and I'm so lucky to be able to even ask you this question, why do you think it's taken so long? And why do you think that it's still slow for people to, because the most frustrating thing, right, is the current medical situation where you go in and go, I have an issue. And they go, here's pills. And if these pills don't work, take more pills. They misdiagnosed me at the doctor not too long ago with like a super high A1C, right? Like red over 200. You know what I mean? And they just called me. They're like, oh, yeah, I was like, over 200. So you have some pills to pick up. And I'm like, okay, cool. But everything I'm seeing here, it's all in red and saying I need immediate attention. And they're like, yeah, that's why we gave you pills. I'm like, no, that's not how we should, right? Especially your blood pressure of all things. I'm like, well, let me just eat some bacon and die, I guess. What do you want? So anyway, that's so frustrating. And so we're so thankful to have you and your approach to this. And I also love what you're doing because yes, the human body works better without infectious things in it, without that inflammation. And it doesn't matter who you are or where you're from or what illnesses you suffer from. The fact that you're putting together a legit program that can help us all, that's huge. That's huge. And I wanted to pull this up again real fast and show folks that if they go to dietfreelife.com right now, there's a test they can take. Did you quiz? I'm sorry, not a test. Not a test, y'all. Relax. You know what I'm saying? Just quiz. So I wanted to ask you a little bit about that here now so we can encourage folks to go there and, take some control, take some action for themselves.
I love your show, man. I love your energy and being around a lot of entertainers and people who have done well in this space. I love that you're doing what you're doing. And I hope that we can get more people to become compassionate or have more empathy for this whole mission of epilepsy. And thank you for sharing your story, because if you don't talk about it, and if Lisa doesn't talk about it, if Alyssa doesn't put it out there, then who's going to talk about it? The other day we did a presentation, and a young man named Enrique was on our presentation on Zoom, and this guy's sitting in the hospital. I'm seeing all kind of cords all over him, and he's moved because of Lisa's outreach. And that speaks volumes. And then we're doing this call. So in answer to the question that you asked, let me take a step back and just, because you guys get it, you guys are living it. But epilepsy, what a lot of people don't realize is that epilepsy means the brain's electrical system isn't always stable. And what happens is that when it gets overheated, like a computer, there's misfires. So if you get overly excited, it can cause that misfire. If the cells get gummed up with those omega-6 and inflammatory oils, there's a misfire. And what saddens me is how many doctors, and I would love if you ever do another call and you can bring on some doctor who works with people who have epilepsy and they're so quick to prescribe drugs, get us all on the call with that doctor, because you're going to watch that doctor sit back and get schooled by a mom, by someone who's living it, by yourself, because they are not addressing the main problem of once you get epilepsy, and that is you're not controlling inflammation. You must control it once you get it. If I could talk to Harriet Tubman, who got hit in the head with a piece of iron years ago when she had freed thousands of people from slavery, she lived the rest of her life, and she lived a good life, but as an epileptic and having seizures. No one educated her on how to reduce inflammation. But back during that time, people were eating and the food was a little bit better than it was today. So she didn't have the intensity of someone like Alyssa may experience. So we got to get the word out so that everybody can learn how to cool that computer system in our brain for those of you who have epilepsy, so that you can reduce the intensity as well as the frequency of these things happening. So commitment to you and to this whole movement. I think we're all family. And at the end of the day, not only people who have epilepsy, but your wife, your kids, your friends, most people have very poor cell membrane fluidity. And that's all because of the way the food industry has changed. We got to get smart, man. And as we all agree, the good book says that our people perish for the lack of knowledge. And if they don't know what I know and what Lisa knows and what Alyssa's learning and what you're being aware of, then they're going to perish. Yeah. It comes down to knowledge at this point of the game, because the food industry don't give 2 cents about if it's causing you to have a seizure. Correct.
Yeah.
Amen.
For ourselves.
Amen, everybody. That's not
amen. Let's go.
I've been wanting to preach all day. Thank you very much.
I love it.
But you don't have to take my word for it.
You know what I'm saying? I got 2 questions. Just these are those questions that, like, you know, they're back and forth on the internet, and I want to throw them out there just to get expert opinions on them. 1, sauna. Okay, I've heard sauna is very good for reducing inflammation, and it can be very good for folks with epilepsy, as long as you don't overdo it like anything else. What do you guys know about sauna therapy or sauna, consistency? Do you think that helps? Have you heard anything? Do you know anything about that? Or otherwise, could it hurt?
Well, I happen to know a lot about it.
Okay.
Like in extreme detail. What I would tell that person is that we're not talking about things that are tangible that you can touch and feel. Okay. When we talk about inflammation, we're talking about on a cellular level, something that you can't see, you can't smell. And getting in a sauna does not improve cellular fluidity. So you want to get that part in check by reducing inflammation. Now, there's other benefits with sauna and many cold plunge, you name it, but nothing is better than improving cellular fluidity, which is the key part on how you reduce inflammation that would affect seizures and many other things that we've been talking about.
Like us dumb guys say, you can't outwork out a bad diet. Doesn't matter how much time I spend in the gym. If it's pizza and cheeseburgers, I'm, in the same way, no matter how much time I spend in the sauna, if I'm not approaching the issues on a cellular level, I'm not going to get.
And you know what, Mike? And I'll tell you this, Mike, and for the person who asked that question, the media and the world is designed for people to make a lot of money. And if I can keep you focused on all the things that is not the most important thing, then they're going to make money.
Epstein.
But
sorry, what were you saying?
Once everybody wakes up and realizes Like you can't improve or optimize methylation. You can't optimize the antioxidant glutathione if you don't have cellular fluidity. So at the end of the day, what most people aren't talking about, Gary Brecka, all these people that you see that are like have millions of followers, they are not talking about cell membrane fluidity. And for everything they're talking about, none of that matters if you don't have cell membrane fluidity. And that's the hypocrisy that we're dealing with on a day-to-day basis.
That's huge. That's huge. And I love the fact that when they go to dietfreelife.com, one of the very first things you see is say goodbye to unnecessary medications. So many people are living that. That's huge. No, man, if you work with, I work with some old folks, hang out with some old folks, and I love them. By the way, man, if you want to learn to not get so caught up in stuff, hang out with some older folks, like in an old folks home. Mm-hmm. They're so cool. They're like, I don't care what nobody think about me. You know what I mean? I'm not here to win you over. You know what I mean? I love that about them. But so much of their life is, to the doctor, dealing with medications. I mean, some of these folks are taking literally 20 different medications a day. And you just know that can't be the way. You just know that's not the way, and then they go and eat, seed oil fried French fries, which I'm not saying I never do. Hey, look, I mean, Burger King is going to be the death of me, but I'm sorry. That flame broiled taste. Yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry about that. And I'll stop there. And then Lisa, what do you know about sauna therapy? And then the last one I want to ask you about, and then we'll wrap up, is methylene blue. Have you guys heard of that? I know a successful podcaster and author who suffers from seizures, and he says that methylene blue, if you know what that is, has helped him. And I wanted to know if you guys had heard of that and what were your thoughts on that.
I haven't heard of it. Robert would be a better one to send that question over to. I've only known about infrared therapy as far as the sauna piece, but at the end of the day, for me, it all goes back to cell membrane fluidity, what Robert is talking about, because if the cells are rigid, it does not matter. It does not matter what supplements you're taking, what you're putting into your body. Mm-hmm. You're wasting your money. You're wasting your money if your cells are not fluid. Yeah. And I'm sure everybody's wondering, well, how do you get your cells fluid? Because as Robert was talking, I was like, well, doesn't anybody want to know how the heck you get your cells fluid, right? Because if the cells aren't fluid and they're rigid, and really everybody in our country, in the USA, our cells are rigid, because the what has happened now is these seed oils that you and Robert, Mike, that you were talking about and Robert is talking about, is in our food supply. So much so that now there are white papers and doctors trying to get this information to the White House, because it is so crucial that we're in an emergency. Our country is in a state of emergency with regard to what is in the food supply. And I'm talking to nurses that are telling me they don't understand what's going on. I talked to one nurse yesterday. She's an oncologist, Mike, and she said, we've got 22 ICU beds in our hospital in Corpus Christi. And the majority of the beds are filled right now with young people with all neurological disorders, young people coming in where all of a sudden they're healthy and now they're paralyzed from their waist down. She doesn't understand. She said, Lisa, she says, it's like there's something in the water. I said, no. There's something in the food supply. And so you're helping us, to get this information out, Mike, that is so, so vital. And maybe Robert, you could even speak into that about, what do people do to get their cells fluid?
Yeah. There was, when I sat in on the call, not to interrupt, I was looking, I don't find it here on your website, but there was something that you were wanting us to get that is packed full of omega-3s, I believe.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Robert?
Balance oil.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, so I'm going to go back to your methylene blue.
Okay.
because someone I used to know very well 25 years ago, we were very good friends, a guy named Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
He does methane blue. Gary Brecka and many people use it. But
Do you know
here's
Chase? Do you know Chase Hughes, by the way? Side note.
what's his name?
Chase Hughes. He was a CIA. He was in the CIA, and he was on
No.
Joe Rogan. He was the guy who mentioned methylene blue on Joe Rogan.
Oh, I know exactly. Like if I was on, okay, so here's an example. If I was on that show with him, I would have said, oh, guys, all right, let's slow down. There's nothing wrong with methylene blue. But here's what you guys are completely missing. Methylene blue only works if it's inside of your cells. It only works inside of the cells. Well, what is around every cell? A membrane. If the membrane is rigid, which 99% of them are, that means that you're not able to optimize methane blue, and you can speak about it all day long. But the reality is, if you have a poor cell membrane fluidity, then you're not optimizing potential health of anything. So they couldn't argue that. If you go to 9th grade biology, no one can argue that. And the thing that's going to make the cell membrane fluid, even with stem cell, I saw someone ask a question about that, or peptides. People are lying to you. They're omitting what they're uninformed about. And that's not being mean, that's being true. The reality is the cell membrane is flexible and healthy and translucent and permeable when you have an adequate amount of omega-3 in it. And 99.5% of the population does not get an adequate amount of omega-3. So the product that we recommend is a product that's not just omega-3, but it has polyphenols in it. And it's the only one in the world that is proven through test-based nutrition to actually get people into what we call the safe zone, where the cell membrane, through test-based tests, blood, proof, cell membrane. We know for a fact that the cell membrane becomes fluid and oxygen and nutrients can get in the cell. So now methane blue will work. Mitochondria is better. NAD plus is working. ATP, adenosine triphosphate, is working, and everybody is healthier. Glutathione, which is produced in the cell, is something every mom who has an autistic kid, every person who's thinking about inflammation and optimizing brain health, everybody must have cell membrane fluidity, Mike. Mike, if you don't do anything else, if we never talk to you again, make sure that you take steps to find out what your cell membrane fluidity is, which Lisa, I'm sure we can send you a free test. I'll send you a free test, and then you will see it for yourself. And then you can begin doing what you think is going to help it. We'll give you another free test so you can then see before and after, did what I do actually help me? So
Absolutely.
cell membrane fluidity, everything else that people are talking about is crap. And I'm going to have a whole bunch of people eat crow over the next couple of years. As we I know Lisa thinks that I'm being very honest, because they're leaving out. I believe a lie is also omission. Even
That's right. Yeah.
even
Yes.
like when you look at religion, right? If I decide I want to be a pastor, I'm going to be judged more than anybody, because I'm taking on that responsibility. If you are out there advocating health and you're sending people down these paths and you're not telling them about the importance of cell membrane fluidity, shame on you, because that is the foundation to everything. And when I go on Joe Rogan's show, which I will, that's the first thing I'm going to say, Joe, everything that everybody's talked about is crap, because they never mention cell membrane fluidity. It cancels out everything. And go get any professor at any university. They're going to agree with me. Please find someone to say I'm lying, because no one's going to say that. If you got Gary Brecka here, I say, open up the biology book, brother, and let's look at the cell membrane and everything you're out here lying about. You forget to talk about cell membrane fluidity. And because you forget or omit, whatever you want to call it, then that's a disgrace. And all these people, Sorry, I got to pull back because I know Lisa's going to.
No, you're good, man. You told the truth.
Hey, Mike, you know, hey, Mike, I'm gonna get a long text message. You lost focus, and
No, I love it. I love it.
You're heated.
I'm gonna be another rapper dead for popping off the mouth, but shit, I shouldn't have said.
You know what I'm saying? Let's go. You know what I mean?
Hey, Mike, hey, let me just finish this. Let me just finish. I apologize, Lisa, if I went over and I lost my head a little bit, but I'm so frustrated, you guys. I really care. I really, really, really want to make a difference. I want to help and be in the corner of Alyssa and everybody else, and you too, Mike. And it just kills me inside when I watch all of the things that are just being spread. So I apologize if I said too much and I started losing a little bit, but that's the facts. Sorry.
Man, the fact you care is huge. And thank you. You could be doing a lot of things. I tried to get you to go into it and you didn't, but you have a laundry list of qualifications. You know what I mean? I was like telling you, like, yeah, I've worked with some folks, but listen, it's about cell membranes. I'm like, yes, but like people, like, they got to know you're the man on so many levels, bro. So thank you for being here and thank you for letting us know, man. We genuinely appreciate that. And we love that, man. Thank you so much. And then real fast, just to the chat, Wills08, Agnes, shout out to y'all. Man, there's been a ton of chatters. The Winner's Circle, Lynn Wiseman, it looks like. Let's see here. Miss Hall 808. Let's see here. Everybody. Oh, by the way, got a shout out. Lived in Hawaii myself. Shout out to everybody in Paia, Maui. I worked at a little place there in Paia, Maui called Mana Foods. When I first moved to Hawaii, then I got to move up country. Shout out. I worked at in Paia, or excuse me, that was Paia was down where I lived, but then Haleakala up on the mountain. I got to work near Haleakala and I can't think of the name of it now. The upcountry. What's the name of it? Upcountry. Ulupalakua. I worked at Ulupalakua. It was wonderful. Oh, yeah. It was hard to remember. So on that side of the island, love all of Hawaii, but love Maui. If you're in Maui and you're listening, we love you. Stay strong. You're beautiful people and strong people in a beautiful place. And if you want to go see a comedy show in Maui, hit me up. I'll get you some free tickets. Chino LaForge, who's actually done like mainland TV and stuff like that. He runs the Maui comedy scene. He's been doing it for 20 years out there. He does like 2-3 shows a week. They're not all funny, but if you want to go see a comedy show, we make no comedy guarantees. But hit me up. I probably can get you a couple free tickets. Shout out to Chino LaForge and everybody in Maui. And I actually know Dr. Bland Williams. He works for the Maui Medical Center. So I might be able to bring him on. He's a great guy. And he would be interested in this as well. Guys, as we wrap up, thank you so much for coming on. We'll start with Dr. Ferguson. How can they find you? Where can they find you? What would you want these folks to do? Let them know.
I would say go to Faces of Epilepsy, which is a website that Lisa founded. I'm a big supporter and part of the movement that she's created. So go there because our goal is we want to hear your story. We're looking to work with parents. I haven't shared this with Lisa, but I actually had a meeting earlier today with someone who wants to host a retreat where we can have either parents and guardians of people who live with epilepsy to come for a training. And at the same time, we can have people who are living with it. A beautiful ranch in Texas. I got it all set up, Lisa. So when you call me, I'll break it down and tell you all about it.
You know, it's my neighborhood. I don't know if you know, but that's my neighborhood. So
all right. So this is right outside of Houston, man. Right outside of Houston.
I got family down there. That's a little south for me, but yeah, I got family there. We're going. Right. You know, I'm one of them. So
there you go. Well, we got really nice lodging. So we'll make sure we reach out to you and let you know when it's going to happen.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we will follow you there. And everybody should go and take the quiz on your website. I think that's a great thing. I'm taking it as soon as we're done here. And Lisa, let us know what we should do and how we can find you. And then one thing really quick, Faces of Epilepsy, the website, right? This is one thing I want to show you that I love. When you go there, folks, that's facesofepilepsy.com. I'm going to hit the refresh. There's a great, it doesn't. Yeah, there's the pop-up. It doesn't say get a free article. It doesn't say get the free article. It says get that free article. Let's go. You know what I'm saying? Get that free article. You know what I mean? I love it.
But you don't have to take my word for it.
So tell us Tell us, Lisa. Tell us where we can find you, how we can follow you, and how we can contribute in any way to the cause.
Thank you so much. And yeah, Robert, thank you for mentioning Texas. Last time, Mike, it was the Delta. So I'm glad that we've upgraded to a retreat in Texas. So that's awesome, Robert.
I'm sorry to all my friends in Mississippi, but go ahead.
Well, no, I mean, he was just like, you don't need to go to Africa, just go down to the Delta. So I'm sure there will be time for that. Facesofelepsy.com. Go there. You can get Robert's article there. He wrote a great article for epilepsy and cell membrane fluidity. So you can go there, get his free article right on the website. We'll send it out to you. You can go to facesofelepsy.live. Robert has specific webinars every Saturday, 12:30 Pacific Standard Time, 3:30 Eastern Standard Time. They're for epileptics and families of those with epilepsy, caretakers. We have parents that come on that have lost their children to epilepsy, that have also started similar foundations. JudasLegacy.com, that's our GoFundMe. There's a lot of epileptics that we've been sending out free balance oil to, free tests to. So go there to the GoFundMe, you can give there. And then we've got facesofepilepsy.me. That's our Facebook community. We've got Faces of Epilepsy on the pages. And yeah, there's all kinds of great things that are going on. So we want to connect with you. We've created this safe space for you. And we're here to help and advocate and just love on you however we can.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Alyssa, are you like on the Instagrams where all the cool kids are, the TikToks?
Yes. So there is actually a TikTok and an Instagram. You can go to Faces of Epilepsy in the search bar and it'll take you there. My personal Instagram is Alyssa Servideo. Hers is Lisa
Griggs official. Yep.
But this was an honor, seriously.
Yes.
Remember, guys, stay positive. That will take you everywhere.
We should do more. And I got to say, just real fast, if you do have epilepsy, man, if you suffer from seizures and you don't want to give up and you don't want to quit, you want to do something, podcasting is awesome. It really, look, not on this level. When it becomes work, it's a job, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. And it is still awesome, but a job is a job. But if you just want to get out there and connect and you want to stay connected to folks, one of the best things you can do is grab your laptop. You know what I mean? Learn how to hit the go live button, invite some friends on. It's something that I think I really want our community to do because I don't see a lot of folks in our situation. And I just think, man, like what you guys do on Facebook has been so good for me personally. It's been so awesome. I know we're over. All right, I'm going to stop. The guys, thank you so much. All the points have been made. Everybody, you know where to follow them. Thank you so much for tuning in. This has been PTPOD Presents. Just an amazing show. Thank you guys so much one more time. You're not getting rid of me now. We're friends now. My close personal friend, Robert Ferguson. Thank you. I'll see you at Thanksgiving. And thank you, Lisa. We'll talk to you guys soon. This is the PTPOD. We are out.
Thank you, Mike.
Next time. Yes, next time. Thank you guys.
Oh boy.